Hello, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back on my YouTube channel. I'm back again with another video. So I've been, you know, I'm not gonna talk about this anymore. But when you are a servant, you don't get to choose or not exactly when to stop talking about certain things. So I have to go deep on this one. So I'm just gonna talk about white motherfuckers. So white people in terms of like white people are going through a rebirth. So when I'm talking about rebirth, you all know what rebirth is. Being born again, meaning not like being born again like Christians say. It's more like they have to upgrade their DNA, they have to upgrade their soul because apparently white people don't have a soul. Or 80% they don't have a soul. They're soulless. 80% of them they don't have a soul. That's why the world is like this. It's because of them. Obviously there are also other people who from different race who are horrible beings, but today I'm just going to talk about white people are going through a rebirth. But it's up to them whether they want this thing to happen or they're gonna suffer. Because at the end of the day, if you constantly running away from something that it meant to happen, which is growth, soul growth, you're gonna end up suffering. That's why a lot of people are suffering from mental health. I've noticed that a lot of people who suffering from mental health, which is something that is happening with white people right now, they're suffering from mental health. Reason why that's why they're obsessed with like white women are obsessed with black women, white men are obsessed with black men, and it's happening. Like I've saw it. Like the funny part, I saw a video where someone shared this and I was like, oh wow. And then I went somewhere, it was a comment section where they were talking about this guy Fed Web, the rapper, the one who's going to through prison. And I was like, when I go through comment, I've never felt so disgusted. I was like, fuck, this motherfucker are still obsessed with this. The funny part is whether you're a black man, you're doing good or bad, they always have something to say. Someone is come up with like, oh, that's black excellence whatsoever. They always like they feel so entitled to always say something, and I'm like, they're always bothered by black excellence. They're always bothered by anything that is black, even if it's bad. They always have to put their opinion on it. I'm like, don't get me wrong, we always put opinion in whatever. I'm not saying it's wrong to be a different race say something about something. It's just that with them you can tell it comes from the place of racism. Because why would you say to someone their eyes, I'm talking about Fat White, like the one, let me just recall one of his song that okay, I forgot the lyrics, but the guy, they made a comment about his eye. I think it has an eye problem, and he like they made a comment like that. What his eye has to do with him going to jail? What his race has to do with him going to jail? I was like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying black people are always good. There can be bad, like literally can be bad, but when it's come to comparison, if I have to compare, like white race are horrible beings, just that they are privileged, and most of the time they go through a phase where whatever that they're doing is always prevented from the media, because they always want to like have this picture of black people that are the most horrible ones. But at the end of the day, racism started in South Africa. Yes, I went through some history. Yes, racism started in South Africa from white people, because this thing of apartheid started with them. This thing of oppressing black race, it started with them, and then other race follow. Because apparently they have this thing of trying to always act like they're superior. As they always act like they're superior, it ended up other races believing that, because obviously when a bully is bullying you, you won't even know you are being bullied, especially if you have lack of awareness or whatsoever. Even other people can say, like, there are less people who stand, there are always gonna be less people who stand for their right. And then even if they stand for their right, not everyone will be supported. It's like being like, you know what, someone stand like in high school or whatever place or workplace where you stand up for yourself, and then when you stand up for yourself, instead, even though people agree with what you said because they know this boss is actually a bully, obviously they will say like they won't act on it because they're scared of losing that job. It's always like that. They're scared of whatever. But when you stand up for a bully, you're supposed to stand up for a bully, because at the end of the day, racism started with white motherfuckers. And the worst part, there are very few who are awakening. Instead, some of them, they are still believing that forged history about them, that they are superior, that they're inventing everything. The thing is, there's no one race that invented everything. There's no way a white race created everything. There's no way. It's impossible. Because even in dreams, the one that are guiding me as a seer, there are very few white people who come in my dreams. So I don't understand the concept of like white people invented everything. So yes, I know your ancestors lie about your history. Obviously there will be a huge something that you will be awakening from, and some of you don't want to believe that history, that your history that you're being taught by your ancestors, your parent, or parents who were taught by their ancestors, this continuation of lies about that forged history, that whatever, everything was white people be whatsoever, like it's a forged history. And this history, it's not allowing a white race to evolve. And some of them now I've seen like really see that they were being lied about, were being lied by their ancestors, because at the end of the day the ancestors lied. So there's nothing you can learn from lying. So their soul, that's why they say 80% of a white person is soulless and 20% is have a soul. That's why you don't come across a really seer who are white. Yes, you heard me right. There are very few see prophets who are actually white. Most of you are just liars. You just know, especially if in this tarot card thing, I know, like, you just know how to read cards. That's it. Like, that was like the prophets, really prophets whatsoever, that was long time ago, maybe in the 18th century or whatsoever. But in this current time, it's very few. It's very few to come across a white person who have a gift, because that gift need you to do it in a way. They don't just give a gift to anyone. So it need people who are willing to go through their own healing to understand that whatever that being taught by their ancestors is wrong. There are very few white people are doing that. Mind you, white people are a very small population. If they continue to not to do the inner work that is they are supposed to be doing, obviously you're gonna get what the word, most of you, like the white race will end up depleting on earth. Like there won't be white people anymore if they continue with this their way of being garbage, of being a horrible motherfuckers, or teach their children nonsense. Eventually you're gonna be perishing. It no longer like perishing in terms of like power. It will be perishment of your own existence, like the own what the word I wanna say, tribe. Yeah, the whole tribe will just perish, because it has to do with a soul. So the more, there's something that I've read somewhere when they say it's on the Vedas literature that I read, they said, which is something that is general knowledge, but I'm not gonna say exactly what they said because I don't remember what they said exactly, but I'm just gonna rephrase it. But they said something like soul, it's okay, the soul is a superior being. A soul is what we should be focusing on, as we are supposed to be focusing on our soul. That means we, it's like, you know, when someone their soul, someone who's dead, obviously when someone is dead, obviously their skin start getting decomposition or whatsoever, because the soul is no longer on the body. The soul gives life. So when you all are refusing to do a inner work that your soul need to be going through, what does that mean to you? What does that mean? Does that mean your own kind will still exist because you are refusing to do something that is supposed to be done by you. And I know some of you don't want to understand that your ancestors lied to you. Yes, the history is a lie. It's a fucking lie. The history that they forged on you. And some of you are even have issue with something that is like, it's unnecessary. Like, I've noticed, is it there is something on Netflix. There was, I think, a director or whoever was, what, the woman, Will Smith's wife, that whatever that she directed, and people have a problem with skin color. Have you ever have you ever asked yourself why there are no black person who in a movie that has a superpower? Like, does that make sense? It's only white people in America who get roles. I'm talking about US, because US is a dominant country. As it's a dominant country, obviously a lot of people look up to. As people look up to into that country, does it make sense to you that the Superman, it was a white guy, the Supergirl, it was a white girl, Superman, it was a white guy? What other things? Like, most of the time, the supernatural things, the superpower movie whatsoever, it always given a they always give roles to white people. It doesn't make sense to you that it's only white people who have a gift, because the gifts that you see in movies, especially movies that are supernatural, that are actually the few that I mentioned, it's the gift that are really existing. It's just that most of you believe that it only happen in spiritual world. As people who are spiritual, they will tell you that I resonate with this, I resonate with this, I resonate with this. So a lot of you believing in that history that you are the only one invented. But the funny part is, who are more psychics in this generation that we're living in? Why a lot of black people have this kind of, why US trying to, by all means, to in their movies, acting like movies that are supernatural, it's only the gift that are happening on white people. And you also will find out that Jesus is not white, and I won't be surprised that Jesus was an Indian, or maybe like, because I see like when it's come to like spiritual things, like Indians are the most dominant race when it's come to things that are actually spiritual, followed by black people. Especially, like, I'm talking about black Indians, the one who have been oppressed for years, and they're waking up, which is a good thing. Like, I've seen like it doesn't make sense that you always believe whatever that the history told you about that. Like, it's not normal. And like, you know what, the last thing I watched from US that it has a supernatural powers, it was Supergirl. You know, when I was watching that girl, she's a great actor, she's good looking and stuff, but you know, I was having difficulties to watching it. Like, it felt wrong. It felt so wrong to see her on the on that main role. It felt so fucking wrong, and I was bothered by it. Initially, I was like, oh, maybe it's because I really watch like things from US anymore, or anything that has to do with white people, not because they're bad or anything. It becomes difficult when you advancing spiritually to watch certain things that are not true. It doesn't have to be like a white people. Just it happened that it happened more when I'm watching white people, and I'm bothered by it. I'm like the thing is, when you're a person who, like, right now I'm doing YouTube with English, and now I have to watch certain things that are from a different language. For example, like a Chinese, it's very hard to understand, so I have to rely on subtitles that are written in English. So it bothered me that I have to find information that is truthfully only when I have to watch certain race, and I have to exclude other race because of this thing that you are not willing to grow. Because I like, I'm a person who's open to learning from every race. Like, I'm that open, but it's difficult for me now to watch anything that is white. Like, it got to the point that I'm okay when I'm learning from a white people, when it's something that is written rather than something that is watching. I get annoyed, like, agitated. Like, I'm like, what the fuck, you know? So they seriously the like, right now, white people are going through it. They're depressed, miserable, they're obsessed with, like, they're always in fear. Obsessed with what is good. Like, when I see black people, what do I have to make? Because it's in your DNA. That's a thing. That's why some of you be like, hey, not like, I don't believe a white person who said I'm not racist. A reason why, like, unless like I'm talking, like I'm listening to it and I'm like, this motherfucker is truthfully, then I can listen to you. Most of you will be so quickly to say I'm not racist, but you'll be so quickly to turn up on the blind eye, as if when other race is being oppressed, you don't do anything. The thing is, this racism started with white people, and it's spread out. And I'm talking about this started in South Africa. I might be wrong, but the history that I got, it started in South Africa because of the apartheid what was done back then. It started in Africa with white people who visited our own kind from England. They say English, I believe English of England. But obviously we did have African in our country who have problem with black race. So it went far whatsoever. Right now, African people are going through it. They're depressed as fuck. And most of them, they don't understand that depression come from what, because not few of them are open to be honest. So it got to a point when I see a white person is talking about this truth, the white people are saying them, calling them a traitor. They don't understand how healing it is to be truthfully, how healing it is to walk a path that is, the history is forged. The history was not even that. It's just that motherfuckers lie about it. So when you're constantly building on a foundation that is dead, there's no way that your mental health can be fine. So awakening need to happen to a black race. They are going through a rebirth. It's just that some of them are still in denial of this, because some of them, they still want to go with the mentality that they are a superior race. There's no such a thing as superior race. There's no such a thing. But for me, the way people are bothered by black race, I'm starting to think black race was one of the chosen race to be superior. It's just that I wish when they get this, because it's happening, I don't give a fuck what black people will be ruling. And yes, black people are a dominant race, obviously a dominant race. And as the population of black race is massive. As the population of a black race is massive, that will lead them to be dominant. But as dominant as they can be, that does not mean all black people will be healthy, because they're full of narcissism. Every race, narcissism is everywhere. It's in every race. So obviously, there's some black motherfuckers who are horrible, evil, whatsoever. So I just hope when they get this chance of being because it's happening. Like it's happening. Probably when I'm making an example, if I die at the age of 100, I will see that, because already it's happening. I see it, and that's why a lot of now white people are getting more aggressive, especially those who are not healing, who are not understanding why they're going through this operation. Even if we are not oppressing them, it's just naturally it's gonna happen, because now our ancestors are mad. They are mad, like literally they're mad. They are complaining about the land. Yes, the land distribution is real. Like you're gonna like the distribution of land is fucking real. And I know a lot of people still wanna hold on to those land, and most of you will sell those land. You feel more discomfortable with owning that land. That's why a lot of white people, they're selling land, selling whatsoever. It's divinely guided. Our ancestors are mad. They're tired. Some of them are even like, for example, I follow one of a girl who's actually a rain queen. A rain queen meaning she's a rain queen. She's from a water kingdom, and she's a special gifted person. She's from South Africa. She's helping, I don't understand, like, do you know those people, healers, who are helping with land, like not land, who go to a certain place to do cleansing, like is it extraction, like those healers who do such, who go to a certain place to remove or to cleanse people, and also cleanse a place, or whatsoever. Like, she does that kind of work. It's just that I don't know the term, but judging by it, is she always around cleansing people, as well, cleansing our ancestors, because our ancestors wanted to be free. Because some ancestors were stabbed, they never got free. Some, for someone who's traditionally who believe in our ancestors, our ancestors are bleeding, so we can, like, this woman, she can even hear voices whenever she encounter a certain place that has an ancestor that is bleeding. Like, they will say something like, free us, or say something like, but they will say a lot of things that happen during the old century where this oppression happened, because your own kind, white people, were horrible to black people. Like, the things that you done to us. And I'm not surprised, most of you, I think most of you white people who are existing right now, especially those one who are depressed, you are the one who you are at the reincarnation. You are from the past life where you all started this war. This is why most of you are experiencing this. You are the reincarnation of the colonizers. That's why a lot of you are not free. That's why a lot of your spirit is not free. It's because you reincarnated. You are from the past life. You were the product of racism. You were a product of whatsoever. So now you're coming back on earth to redo what you've done. But obviously, it's up to you whether you want to do this in this lifetime or in the next lifetime. But you can't run away from your soul work. Whether you are running away from 10 lifetime, obvious, you're going to still be a depressed motherfucker or whatsoever. But eventually, you do this in a week. I don't know how long this process will take where white people are going through it, because at the end of the day, even black people are still going through it. The reason why they're still going through it is because of what you done. You did this. I know some of you be like, I was not part of it. The fact that you were not part of it, but I've never seen in history where white people were marching, saying like their own kind should stop abusing whatsoever. It's never happened. It never happened. Like, you never in history come across a white people marching for what their ancestors have done. So it's a good thing, because now I will see on YouTube, on TikTok, people are talking about it, which is a good thing, which is a good start. Because the more you keep quiet, more you putting on a blind eye, as if whatever that is happening, it's not, just because it's not affecting you and you know it's wrong, because you don't do that. It's a very few white people who have done, like, who speak about this kind of thing, even in spirituality. This is why I'm bothered with white motherfuckers who have a spiritual gift on YouTube. None of them talk about the white supremacy. None talk about racism. None talk about that because it's benefit them. They don't talk about things that benefit them. They talk about things that their spirituality is becoming more and more fluffy, more garbage, more whatsoever. I get annoyed. Because the reason why they're so fluffy, they don't do this inner work that they're supposed to be doing. None of them talk about this kind of thing. None. It's just you full of nonsense. Even if you try, you're doing for publicity. Because there was one who, I don't know whether is Indian or what, his name is Vishu or something, but I noticed this guy was not doing it from his own heart. He was doing it for publicity. And I was bothered by it. To go to the point, my ancestors said, click and follow to this guy. And I did. Because what the fuck? Why are you doing things for not with your heart? When you're not doing this with your heart, there's no way it can move. It can move people. It can never move people if it's not from your heart. We know when something's from your heart. We're not stupid. Yes, your ancestors maybe told you that we're a stupid race whatsoever. Maybe you believe that, no nonsense. But you will see that. You will see that your ancestors lie, and it will bother you, because your ancestors want to try drag us down, like, you are not what? You didn't pay in history. Go to a point, there's a old white man who's making I don't know I don't know, is a YouTube or what. He's telling you, like, he's still busy spreading this nonsense, this lies, like, black people never contributed in history. What about the slavery that was done on us? These buildings that we will see, they were mainly built by black people. It's just you always be so quickly to take everything as if it belonged to you. Another point that I got from a book that I read, A Word of a Prophet, I shared this one on the video that I made, White Supremacy. When I read that, you know what? I read that line and I was like, hey, he might be mistaken. but that line keep coming up on my head, and I know it's happening. I know it's a truth. He said something like, white black people will dominate UK. Yes, black people will dominate UK. And you know why it bothered me? Initially I said like maybe this prophecy is it's a lie. Because it felt so impossible, and now I am looking it in a different eye, and I'm like, I see why this prophecy is happening. But obviously this thing will happen gradually. Why? UK, the kingdom of you is it England, was built on blood of black people, was built on the most garbage way on black people, and black people will be taking over that whatever, that country or whatsoever. But UK will be dominated by black people. It's prophesied by a white well, it died in 1924. It was prophesied by a white seer back in the days during apartheid era. So as this was prophesied during that era, he mentioned that it will be dominant whatsoever. Obviously, when you see, you don't see everything, because even though he existed at the time, I noticed that he was ignorant. It was ignorant in terms of like a black race, because when he speak like we were enemies, like we started this enemy thing, and I was like, he's ignorant. But I was like, okay, fine. I'm not gonna take on whatever, because the ignorant is real. The white people are ignorant. It's a shame. It's okay to be ignorant. Don't get me. I'm ignorant myself in a lot of things, but that kind of ignorant that to be like, it's unnecessary to be this ignorant. You should be bothered by the lack of knowledge that you have on certain things that has to do with spirit. It has to do with your way of being considerate of other people's feelings. We're constantly learning. We're in a pool where we're constantly learning. So imagine having to listen to someone who's ignorant, and like it's sad. Like, it's sad to see how white people are still ignorant. There are very few who are awakening, who speak about something that is real. And most of you always gonna be, don't you feel something about the way you, whenever a white person, a black person trusts your path or whatsoever, or maybe you through a whatsoever, you feel bothered by them? Don't you hate that? Don't you hate how you feel? You're supposed to be feeling like you're in a cage every time you come across a black person. And you're supposed to leave a nasty comment on them, whether the nasty comment you speak on your mind, or you ended up speaking on your mind, or ended up speaking about it. Because some of you, it's in your mind. You say in your mind. Maybe you ended up not being vocal about it. You don't vocalize whatever that you think about a black person who's passing by. Because the association, how white people are jealous of black people, is weird. It always be weird. It's so fucking weird, because I'm sitting like, how long are you willing to take that? How long are you willing to not see a black race as something as that should be bother you? I'm not talking about white people, because I know some Asian people who still believe that black people are supposed to be treated ill. It got to a point that I came across like an interracial relationship. It was a Korean woman who's married to a South African man who's black. And I didn't like her treatment toward that guy. He treated him like a slave. And I was like, I get it, this guy is in love whatsoever, but I feel like they make it like we're supposed to earn it. We're supposed to do everything to earn it. We're not supposed to be treated right. Instead, we're supposed to show that whatsoever. Like, it bothered me. I was bothered by that interracial relationship. And I was like, you know what's so funny? Because they have kids now. And the daughter said something, and I was like, wow, I'm glad her kids are quite smart. They can reason. She said, it's the first time that I saw mom being compassionate toward my father. And I was like, she even tried. Even I myself, I was watching, I was like, wow, I even tried. Because I was like, what the fuck is wrong? This is something that kids normalize so, and then the fact that the other one reason to the point they see this mother is not treating their father normally because of whatsoever. But obviously didn't put it as a race thing, because she was a kid and two, it's a parent. But I've noticed it comes with the race thing. People will be so full of God every time we're coming across a black person, whether it's a woman, whatsoever. it's bothering me. Even in movies, I'm bothered with every time the role that they give, it's a role of a slavery. Like, they don't give best roles. Like the one, what do you call it? A Woman King. I've never watched that shit. I don't know. It's full of shit. Like the way I was so irritated that they keep recommending on my YouTube channel, as you know, when they're recommending that short video, and also on YouTube, on Instagram. I was like, what the fuck, this, I'm not gonna watch that shit, because it's not, they're constantly trying to keep us on the same consciousness that was not our own mission. They make it like we're supposed to always have the slavery mentality. They want to keep us in chain by promoting these movies whatsoever. And black people be like, yeah, I'm not. And I'm like, if you know the purpose of this movie that they're creating, if you wouldn't be supporting that nonsense. I know, Viola, you said it, that being a black person in America, getting a rose, it's hard. You mentioned that, but we're still supporting that shit. But it's fine, because it pays bills, right? That's what you all say. As long as pay bills, my love. Garbage. So, yeah, like, don't you find it annoying to live in fear? Don't you find obvious? There's some people who have done inner work. I've noticed in Asian they have done inner work. Asian people have done inner work, but obviously there are those who didn't, because how they always try to oppress a black race, like all race, and you still believe that a black race is supposed to be slave. People don't attack people who don't see something they wish they can have. It's the same thing with that coworker that hates you. She hates you because she felt intimidated. People don't just attack any race for no reason. So when you are black race watching this right now, you're thinking like, maybe it's because there's a problem with us. No, there was never a problem with us. And people who started racism, who are white people, do you know what their fear was? Is the effect that black people are so many. They're bothered by the fact that black people are so many. They feel like it's a dominant country. And some say we say our features. They like our features, but they don't know how to say it in a polite way. Instead, it would be mean. But I'm not saying you should be, what the word? I don't mean to say you should be okay with their intimidation to the point that you take it as whatsoever. Like when someone says something that resists it, don't be afraid to walk out. Walk out to that room. Walk out to that. Don't be like, she doesn't know. She will need to learn. No, she know exactly what she's doing. I'm talking about that motherfucker who said make a racist comment. They know what they're doing. Obviously some will learn later, maybe they didn't know for real, but most of the time they know exactly what they're doing. They're always trying to get on our skin, and they're bothered. I've come across white people who are bothered, who always want to get into my skin, and when I don't do that, you know what they do? They just run away like a rat, because they were like, they're so used to black people who are whitewashed, black people who view them as superman. For me, I see souls. I don't give a fuck whatever that the parent told you about black race. If you're gonna approach me, I see souls. I'll be like, okay, your soul is garbage, and I won't entertain you. And they're bothered by that. It got to the point that I would see, people that I met on spiritual journey who actually consider themselves as high priestess, but I don't believe white people are high priestess. I don't believe they have a gift, because they're attacking me. Why are you attacking me? Those one who didn't do a witchcraft on me, they were like in dreams. They were like, they were streaming like they felt like they're losing. I don't know why they so obsessed with controlling people. Why are you obsessed with controlling black race? Why are you so feeling like whenever you come across black people who you're supposed to have an opinion? On YouTube, I think I mentioned this. I don't know where I mentioned like fully. On the white supremacy, this example, it's not an example, it's something that happened in real life. So this woman, she was a black person who's a seer, who's a empath, who's a prophecy, who's what other word, who's a chosen one, who have a special gift, who's special gifted. So we were watching, and people who were watching her were mostly was black people, and we ended up commenting and stuff. We're getting along very well. The white guy commented. He said, I think like, why there are so many black people here, and we're like, obviously most black people ignore that comment, and I was like, oh, I know. I responded. I said something like, where should we be, like, exactly? And he was like, we should be a mixed, we should give birth to mixed kids. You know why white people now are making kids with you. You be thinking, how you love me, why you love me. There are very few who really love you. There are very, very few people who are white who really love you. They are doing this. It's in their mind now how they always gonna. That's why there are so many mixed children right now. They have this mentality. Not all of them, don't get me wrong. Interracial dating, it's divinely guided. Yes, there are people who are interracial dating who are divinely guided. There are people who are in the same different race relationship who are like, it's very much divinely guided. But the people who have that mentality, it's either they hate each other's race, maybe like a black person hate their race, or white person hate their race, or Asian person hate their race. Now they want to live in someone else's race. There are those one, or also there are those one who want to be in interracial relationship because of popularity. There are people who want to be in this because it get like a lot of pain. Because obviously, when you come across a couple who are interracial, there's no way you cannot stay. Like there are few times you won't stay. You will stay because obviously it's something that is rare, not because you're being racist. Sometimes yes, you're being racist, but sometimes you'll be like, wow. Like you'll be like having that. It gives you fame. So some people get into those relationships because of fame. And other reason white people are doing it because they know that a certain race, especially like I'm talking about a white race as well as a black race, they're getting it. I'm talking about those toxic one. They're getting in this relationship with black people because they believe if they mix race, the kids would be smart, which is true. That's what that man commented. And the funny part, I was thinking about it. Which there are some white people who are using a certain race for that, especially black race, because they know that black race is powerful, but they have to act like they are not. It's just like a bullies don't want to admit that they're losers. They don't want to admit they're horrible. They don't want to admit they're feeling horrible, so they have to project what they are feeling inside to other race. It's a projection. What they're projecting on us, it's something that is happening within them. So don't take it personally. I know sometimes it's hard, especially in a workplace or in a public sector, because sometimes we, like for me, example, if I'm in a big city that I know is dominant with white people, I just already know, or white people or Indian, because I'm Indian, are still treating us like the only thing that, they even say, I want pussy. I'm like, the only thing that you see me is pussy. They wouldn't say like, they say, oh, I had that sex with a black person is whatsoever. It's like having sex with us. Like, I don't know whatever mentality they're in. I didn't want to even listen to that, motherfuckers. It's the only thing that you see on us is sex. Us, because they're of our own strength. It's true that black people have a strength that was, of course, even in South Africa, when I come across like black people who from like Mozambique, Zimbabwe, whatsoever, I've noticed like energetically, and this country have more sunlight. Like the sun is more, I don't know, I feel like the sun gives me them more powers or something. I'm not saying that you can't find people who like that. It's just that we're lazy in South Africa. We have like, we might be a huge country, maybe a second largest in Africa, or third largest, but probably in the five. But we have like, when you come across like other people from other, like when they're black, they have this different energy. You be like, these people are so active. These people, like I always always comment on that. I'm like, wow, they're different whatsoever. So it's true, we do have that energy. Probably not even them, they say the same thing. I don't know. It's just that it happened a lot, because I even had like a friend. It was from what? It's just that I when I let go of people, when I embark on my spiritual journey, I just let go of everyone, and I even forget their name. Sometimes I'll be like in town, I see someone who looks like someone. I'm like, he remind me of someone. I'm like, like when we are here or especially kids, sometimes like you will know people who are in your age or people who miss you by when we are looking at people's faces, and they ended up like having a face of someone that you know. So it's something like that. This thing, yeah, that people get into interracial relationship because of the fact that they want powers of whatsoever. That's why we come across mixed kid. Mixed kid are quite smart. The problem is how society don't want to accept them. There's no such a thing as mixed race. They don't do it, and they have ended up having struggle whatsoever. That's why you can't find a mixed kid that is evolving. I don't know why. They evolve, but they say you feel like there's a fucking limit whatsoever, because some of them they having a complex whatever, they feel like they're not black enough, if they're not white enough, and some people always try to label them whatsoever, so it gives them like a little bit of confusion, which is something that I like. I don't know what to say because I'm not a mixed race. I don't know how to resonate with you. So it's true, we really resonate with them because we don't understand what they're going through. So, and they have to adapt to two race. Obviously, this two race is quite massive. I don't give a fuck what you all say. Being a mixed race is challenging, as it is challenging to be in like every relationship is challenging, right? But there's something that about interracial dating, you be like, now you'll be thinking about their culture, you'll be thinking about everything, like now everything, like you need to look at life I think that's why a lot of people prefer to be in sticking the same. But for me, I feel like in this lifetime I'm here to raise vibration in the black community, and I'm here for it, unless if God have otherwise, because I don't have control of other things. But I just hope that is the case. So yeah, they say that they want to have a mixed kids to raise their vibration. Like, I don't understand how having a mixed kid will raise your vibration, because your kid, your sperm and or whatsoever, if you're a sperm or your egg, will have that DNA, and those kids will have frustration in upgrading. They might be upgraded, yes, because DNA is different, and not only that, the race itself, it has its own DNA. That's what I'm saying. Every race has its own power. Every race has its own power. For example, I'm saying this according to, I'm not saying it's only like this, but I'm just gonna say this according to how my ancestors revealed things. When they show me Indian have a gift, spiritual gift, like they quite spiritually, they quite knowledgeable about herbs and stuff. Same thing with black people. This is what I've noticed. And black people, I don't know what, but you are tall. You black people have a tallness, strong, like physically. Yeah, it's like that. It's true that we have a strength that is unmatched. While Indian have this gift of being spiritually, they tend to turn spirit, like care so much about souls. That's why whenever someone is saying go to India for whatever, but it's not just India, also Asian people, the skill that I've seen, especially those one who are Korean, Asian, like Chinese, Thai, is it Thai, whatever, you have a gift that has to do with your body. I don't know, they made your body to be have a martial art. You are gifted martial art. I know some of you feel like it's racism, but the how my ancestors show you, you have a gift of martial art, and you have a gift to be skilled in things such as murder. That, like, people who are Asian, they make a clean job in killing people. I know someone be like, that shit is dark though. This is how I see even people who are trying to kill me, when they're higher, they went to maybe like a spiritual guru or a witch doctor who want to kill me. They use a Asian person to hide this witch doctor, or to disguise this doctor, that witch doctor that's trying to kill me with witchcraft. It's always like that. They always use Asian people. It's either woman or man. They have a gift. Their body is physically whatsoever. And also you have this like you have powers, because in a special world you have these powers of like Goku, you know, those like yeah with powers. I don't know how to say it, but you know, if you ever watch Powerpuff Girls, those powers they use whatsoever. Yes, we have a gift like that, which I have. I also white race. I had like white race. They are not even showing. This is why I'm bothered by your race. You really need to do inner work. Like the last time I saw white people, it was the beginning of my spiritual journey. They really show. Even my ancestors that are white, they really show. And I was like, why are you quiet like this? So they really show white people, because most of you don't do inner work. You don't like. That's why you find when you begin on a spiritual journey, you resonate with a lot with white people. But with the more you go deep on a spiritual journey, you can resonate with Black, Indian, and Black people, because you are willing to do the inner work. They are not willing to do that. It's like that even in dreams, spiritual world. It's like that. There are very few white people who can reach out to you. Mind you, I don't have one ancestors. My ancestors are on in every race: Asian, Black, Indian, white. But you rarely see what they're just there in the beginning of the spiritual journey. After that, it's a desert, my love. The souls of white people are a desert. It's better to those who are doing inner work. Most of you, whenever you come across something that has to do with Black people, you always say it's because of us. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there are no. We won't find white Black people who are misusing the racism. There are those who misuse the racism act. Maybe like King Cabbage, like it's because I'm Black. But there are those who like that. But also there are those who being mistreated, who being discriminated because of their race. It's just that you have to use discernment. But for you, you don't even use discernment. Instead, be like, Black people always a problem. Oh, you just make it like you don't do inner work. You just make it like, it's normal. Black people, and you're not growing. Maybe you will grow, grow outside, like have money or have the body that you want, whatsoever. I mean, I feel like white people are karmic. When I say white people are karmic, I mean like even your skin color, the way you always get problem with your skin. I feel like most people who renegade say, "Oh, come on earth with a white skin." It's because of what you've done in your past life. The reason we're born in white people, whatever our family, it's so karmic. It's so karmic. There's something going on with whatever you've done in your past life and your race. Because there's a race that you will see like this is a privilege you being in the race. Obviously, we learn to love every race that you're born in, because it's not just whatsoever. Like every race, some have a problem. Like I wish I can be this race, but and eventually you're gonna learn to love your race. So everything, even your parent. I mentioned that I forgot to mention that when I wrote in this description of everything is a special war. Life is a special war. Even your race is a spiritual war. Even your race itself, it's what you've done in a past life. So when you are being bothered with your race to the point that you don't love your race, to accept a race that you reincarnate in, it's because of what you've done in your past life. The reason why the certain race right now is going under, which is white people, is because of what you've done. Everything is connected, even your race itself. Because I'm telling you guys, I'm not Black in other, like, I know some of you don't believe in that kind of spirituality. So I'm not only Black. I'm Black in this lifetime in the material world, but in other realm, I don't look Black. I have other race in me. I'm in divine, like we live in divine planet. Yeah, we live in a different planet. As we live in those different planets, I'm not Black. Instead, I'm Black in this lifetime. And there's a reason why I reincarnated in this lifetime, because I'm here to raise consciousness in a Black community. Even to every race who it can hear. But I've noticed most of the time I always move to Black community. Even when I'm talking about those garbage ones who are Black, it's because my main focus is mostly based on Black community. But at the same time, my content, it can be for everyone. It's just that I will be specific when it's for everyone. But I've never been someone who's for everyone, honestly. You can hate me when you watch it, like, yeah, but talk, honey, talk. I'm not gonna stop talking. Talk. you you asked for it anyway. Okay, I made a point that white people are soulless. 80% of them, their soul is soulless, and they are a population that is more likely to live, because we need our soul to expand. If your soul is garbage, there's a possibility you. There's something that I read on Vedic way. They say, should I make this one? They said, obviously we are nothing without our soul. That's why when your soul leave your body, everything just die. So when you are constantly refusing to do inner work because you are white, you have this nonsense knowledge that your ancestors taught you or your parent taught you that is not truth about black people as well, your white race. There's a possibility this race, white people will perish. There won't be existence of them anymore. Reason because of that. Soul is done. You just don't know. There's no soul. 80% of it is soulless. And some of your continuation of what your ancestors have done. And some of you will be like, I want to be a good person, but I don't understand how it's a curse. It's a generational curse. Being a racist is a generational curse. It's something that has been done by ancestors whatsoever. And you'll be like, I don't want to be bothered by a black person who is crossing my path. I don't want to be bothered by content of a black person when I took. But I don't understand. It's a curse. It's a generational curse. It's a curse now. It's in your DNA. So everything starts with souls. The more you're not doing this inner work, the more likely that the race will become less and less and less, because most of you don't even give back to that much. Very few of you who are willing to do the inner work. Okay, racism started in with them. They never do a much to stop it, because it started with you, so it's you who's supposed to stop it. But obviously we are doing that. We are doing our inner work. We're no longer more focused on this, because they want you, your white race, especially those who are racist, who have a problem with us. They always want to make us to focus on our race as if it's our soul mission. Our soul mission is not on race. We're all here for a different reason. So they want us to focus on our race, to forget our own mission on earth. I'm not here to speak about the racism. It doesn't bother me. Yes, it bothered me when it happened, but it's something that it's easy to be like and pass, because I know who I am. It's just that when you have a low self-esteem, you will believe whatever that they said. You will believe what they said about your ancestors. You believe whatever they're saying. You ugly, what of monkey, the funny part is, it's you who look like a monkeys. That's weird. Like, you see how projection you are. It's you look like that. You look like this gorilla. I've been told about, like, is that what? Like I said, I'm looking like I'm a monkey or what? They always make those comments. I'm like, hey, boo. Hi, boo. Like, the funny thing is, not even, like, you be like, you know, when someone being racist and you not even think about the fact that they can be, like, I feel like it's something far away, but you be like, there's some people who walk on their everyday life thinking about this kind of nonsense. They're breathing about it, talking about it, eating it. Eesh. Yeah. And the reason why you don't talk about it, you don't do this thing that you're supposed to be doing about racism, is because you're benefiting it. Now you are being put in a position where you are no longer benefiting from being a white. Obviously, it's a gradual process. It's not something like instantly. It's gradually. Everything will happen gradually, because everything, even the racism, happen gradually. So since you're benefiting it and you're not having a voice, you're not saying anything because it's benefiting you, it's fine. It's like that golden child, the family member, the child that is mostly like, that is not drawing, that is always being supported their parent for the rest of their life. They're not doing anything for themselves, because mama will rescue me, father will rescue me. It's like that, because the benefit is you're not talking about it. In South Africa, it's already happening that street names are changing. most of the street name in our country is changed because they took our own land. Our ancestors are mad. They want back thing. They want their own lands, and the distribution of land will happen. So street name are already changed. They're changing street names to black names. Like the black names are changing. Maybe for example, there's a town in South Africa called Richards Bay. Obviously, Richards Bay, it's not a black name. They will change it maybe to, I'm just gonna say someone who's black. I'm gonna make an example about Nelson Mandela. I know Nelson Mandela. Yeah, they'll make an example about Nelson Mandela. They'll name that town as Nelson Mandela. You know. So, or maybe name whatever, as long as it makes sense to black people, because obviously South Africa was taken by them. Obviously now South Africa is taking over, and yes, there also expansion of Pakistani, Indian, as well as what are those people? Indian, Pakistani. Why I always forget this? I don't know this ethnicity. Muslim, yes, Muslim also there. It's changing to honor our ancestors. The street names are changing because we ancestors need to be honored. And it also happened to one of them. It was called, I don't think you need to know that, but you will see a lot of African countries are changing their street names whatsoever because they want to honor our ancestors. Our ancestors, they don't like this name. They feel chained. It's ancestrally. Now it's like, I just hope black people don't do what you guys did, the violent and stuff. Instead, I feel like God and ancestors are doing a much better work than us to be on that, because I don't believe we're supposed to be violent to get things by like they did. There's no need for us to be like them. I just hope all our black people understand that there's no need to be violent. Our ancestors are taking over. They're doing it. That's why it's happening a lot. Like a lot of black people now waking up. That's why a lot of people in black community, they see that are being used whatsoever. Yeah, and they don't like that. Okay, land distribution will happening. Oh, I mentioned that most white people are the reincarnation, are the people who in the past life of the colonizers. Most of you, that's why you're feeling the hate. You were part of the colonizers, and you left while you were still a colonizer. You left while you didn't do justice. You left without truth. You left without all the horrible things. That's why you feeling the hate. That's why you're depressed. You're horrible whatsoever. It's a rebirth. It's up to you that you whatsoever. But if you don't change in this lifetime, you're gonna reincarnate whatsoever, constantly coming back until you're being accepted in a special word that you done in a week, because you are being upgraded. The rebirth is you to upgrade your DNA, because your DNA, black white people DNA is very what the word, it's very like, it's small. I don't want to use the word small though. The ranking, the special ranking of white people, it's because of the inner work. The ranking, we get the ranking by doing inner work, shadow work, and white people are not doing that. There are very few doing that. So the special ranking you have is, but I know some of you are doing inner work, because I've seen like a lot of white people are talking about the truth. I'm not saying that it's only white people, because some Asian people who will treat you horrible for no reason. You'll be like, dude, it's bother you that I'm black? And you see that it's bother them. I'm like, but I never put race in whatever point that I'm like. They're always trying to make you feel like you are your brain. You don't deserve your brain. You don't deserve how you think. You don't deserve the gift that you have. I always get people who treat me like that, especially in a white community, Asian community. I'm like, hey bro, hey Nina. But I'm not saying that because my family also hate that. But I mentioned that my family is also racist. So yeah. But at the same time, I do understand why my mother is racist. I do understand her. She's like those colonizers in terms of like, she saw this, she experienced racism on her own hands. It's the same thing with colonizers who are not willing to do the inner work. So she's stuck on the trauma, and then she ended up doing exactly that the colonizers did on them. So she's continuing with that. She hate the fact that she got married to be respected. She hate that she hate a lot of things that has to do with a movement of apartheid, because apartheid didn't want white people, black people in certain areas whatsoever, especially in South Africa. She explains all of that. So I feel like I do understand, but at the same time, I'm not okay with she's staying on the trauma of being colonized, being abused, because of how she looked like. Because whenever, like, I remember mentioning, what like back in like in the days when I used to ask questions, I've always been a curious kid. So I asked her, what will you do if I come here with a white guy and say he's my boyfriend, or my husband, or I'm willing to marry him, or maybe a Indian guy? She was like, white people loving black people, and it's true. Like that, it's the first time that I agree with my mother. White people don't like black people. Like, I've been seeing like videos of women who never came back, or men who never came back, who was the only black friend. Why it's only happening on this race only? Why the one who died, or who drowned, or who jumped out of the building? Why it always the black person? Why it's not always? And the funny fact is that the investigation is not done like thoroughly. Instead, they get away with it. So whenever you are only a black friend in a white community, you need to rethink again. There are very few white people who have good intention towards you. But maybe you say, I'm still stuck in the old mind. It's fine. You can have that mentality. But it's happening a lot where a black person who was only a friend in a white community, they don't come back on those, whether it's a trip, whether it's a pajama party, whatsoever. They don't come back. Don't be so like, oh, I'm the most civilized. We're not because we're not civilized. It's just that we can sense the unsafetyness that we feel toward this. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't. Oh, I'm gonna I don't know how true is this, but it's true. Especially the people who were born in the 80s, 80s, 90s, as well as 2000, are the recognition of the colonizers. They are the product of racism. They created racism. So they're coming back on earth to redo what they've done. But obviously it has to do with their soul. But it's up to them. They're rebuilt on white people. It's up to you. It's not forced whatsoever. But eventually, I like to believe God. When he said you will do this thing in this lifetime, you will. If he said you will heal in this lifetime, you will heal. If he said you do this, but obviously you have to be willing, because anything can come around you, but if you're not willing to do it. So this thing of what's going on with white people, it's just that you need to feel what you've done to other people. The only different, we're not being violent, hopefully, because I do know some white black people who are still mad about what they've done. I just hope they don't do that. It's just a hope. They don't do that. They don't move like that, because how your ancestors move, it was not pleasing. It was not pleasant. It was not something that even you should be proud of. You should be disgusted about what your ancestors done. And some of you do have a heart, which is a good thing, which is a good start. Which is a good start. Because there's some motherfucker that I saw on Instagram. She said she was eating a watermelon. She said to African people, she had this mentality that in Africa we are hungry. If I'm hungry, why do I look the way I do? It's nonsense. Like, I don't understand this concept of believing that Africa is a hungry country.